and then play it. Let's just let it play. So you can see that my keyframe of the spring actually works. This is going to take over. The ball's kind of going, boom, popping up through there, and there it goes. It destroys that. Everything falls. And it looks like my simulation is over by frame 4. Actually, we'll let it ride out to like 560, and I'm going to stop it. So I can now take my timeline down to 560 and know that that's about when my simulation's done. So I'll rewind this, and now I'll play it back. And see, now you can see everything's going full speed because it's been cached and everything is kind of just going full speed right now. Now, some things that I would do to improve this, I'm going to go here and go solver, and let's go down to memory caching, and let's say delete. When I delete my cache, you'll see this now once again plays really slow because it's no longer using the cache. So when you delete that cache, you're gonna have to sit there and let it resimulate. But that's what you really want. I mean, I want to be able to. So I'm gonna delete it, and what I'm gonna do with my memory caching is disable it right now because I don't want a memory cache. And the reason why is I want to look at and see how I can get some spin and other things on my cannonball. So on my cannonball right now, I've got an impulse position, which is 0, 0, 0. I've got impulse. I also have spin impulse. So I want this to spin, and I'm going to say this is a negative number. So I'm going to say -5. So I want it to have some kind of spin impulse. So let's see what happens now. Let's rewind this. Let's play it back. And you can see it's already spinning. There it goes. It's like spinning out right there. So that's not what I want, right? I don't want it to start spinning from the very beginning. We're going to do what we did last time, right? We're going to get this, and if it's throwing it right here, let's go back and see where it throws it and where it kind of lifts up and throws our ball. Now I do know that the direction from here to here is negative, so I already know that. So let's say like right here in the air, I want it to start spinning. So right around 160. So right at about frame 160, so let's say like back here at frame 150, whatever, I'm gonna set a keyframe for initial, and then here at 63, we will do this -3 and then -3. So it has some kind of tumble to it, and then we will key that. So now I'll go back and rewind this, let it play. So now when it gets to the keyframe where it's supposed to fall, or it's supposed to launch off, so now it launches, and right about there we should get some kind of rotations to it, and yep, it's rotating. Boom. That way our simulation kind of changes a little bit, and our cannonball kind of keeps going out there. Now what I am going to do is that here, right about here at frame 181, I'm going to, let's say actually frame 200 or so, I'm going to take these both back down to 0 and then key that. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to also jump back to this keyframe here, and my dynamic friction is about 0.2, and I'll jump forward to my next keyframe. So here I'm going to make my dynamic friction about 1 and key that as well. Jump back to that other frame, let's key bounciness, and let's key that right here, and then the next frame let's key our bounciness like to 0, and then right click and key that. So I've actually set up my dynamic system to have some properties to it to where I can turn that key off and on, and by those keys going off and on, I can start to control my dynamics. So you can see now I've got this going. Dynamics are everything's going. This guy's got some spin to him, and he's tumbling like I want him to. And you can see my simulation change a little bit. So you can see my balls come to a rest. It's starting to come to a little bit of a rest. Now the other thing to remember about my ball and why it's still rolling is the fact that my floor, if you remember, I do have a floor in here, and my floor has dynamic properties on it as well. So my floor also has like a bounciness and stuff to it. So I could set my bounciness of my ground to 0. And let's rewind this and see what we get out of our simulation this time. And we'll just let this play. And we'll see right about here our frame, it picks up, our spring picks our boulder up, throws our boulder goes flying through the air. It's twisting and turning and flipping and all of the kind of stuff. And it strikes our wall. Boom. And you can see now, because the bounciness of the ground was turned down, that our ball rather doesn't it does not bounce as high. So maybe you want to give some bounciness to this. Let's say like 0.8. But I think I'm going to turn up my dynamic friction and my static friction, because I feel like that box, that brick shouldn't have been sliding like that with my ball. So let's see what it looks like now. Remember, one of the cool things about Maya is that you can keyframe anything inside of Maya. You can keyframe almost any channel box that you can think of. It can probably be keyframed inside of Maya. So there it goes. Let's play this back again. Let's look at this. So this is how you can start to solve for individual pieces, because right now I've got one block that is kind of just wildly just sliding around and going all other kind of places, and I've got the floor kind of turned up. I've got that turned up, so I need to see if that object itself is what the problem of this is, which I think it might be. So this is going to be boom, everything comes down, it all falls. There we go. Yeah, that's more like what I wanted right there. So let's stop it, rewind it. So now I'm going to come in here and go back to solver, memory caching, and enable memory caching. Play it, let it cache. So it's all caching out right now. So the cache is actually writing this to the disk. So the things that are being simulated right now are actually being written to disk, and once it writes it to disk, we can be able to play it back at full speed. So that's a nice little bounce right there. And you see it even changed a little bit from last time. It didn't really fall the same way, which happens with your dynamics. You don't always get the same results out of it, which can be a good thing, because you can have some organic feel to your piece. So it simulated it, and now full speed, everything plays back, and it's all good. It looks like right before we got to there, it looks like our pieces are going to fall over. So let's give ourselves, let's say 700 frames. And the cool thing is that this will it'll just play up to here, and when it gets to frames that it hasn't encountered yet, it'll slow down and start to cache those frames. Now, so it seems like it's stuck, but it will actually start caching out the new frames and adding those frames. Now, if it does seem like it's getting stuck at a certain area, you can always stop it come to your cache.